Good evening, friends. I'm Stephen Benoon with my wife, Yana, and here on Israeli News Live. I've got several different things we want to share with you today. And we're going to start off with WND, a report they just put out. And I don't know about you, but I actually got this from Sister Laurel. Didn't know if you found this one on your own as well, because I know you had it already. But at any rate.
This is happening in Kansas. Not to say it's not going to be nationwide and then eventually worldwide. Right. Why? Because most churches are state institutions. They're 501c3, and they had all of this already in preparation for a very long time, for decades. Clergy response teams, where pastors are basically state employees who were preparing for cooperating during times like this with the government, okay?
They're hirelings, as Jesus called them. They're hirelings, and they do not care about the sheep.
Right.
And they sell them out.
Every time you went and became member of the church, they were asking you to fill out paperwork, put your name, address, telephone number, and people willingly did this, thinking, oh, we are in a house of God, and this is such a nice pastor, and, not even knowing what these private information will be used for. Well, who would ever believe that something like a mild cold virus, can cause the government to trample on our constitutional rights? Our liberties are thrown out of window, and if pastors do not cooperate, they will be thrown in jails. And of course, most pastors do cooperate.
Yeah, they're very cooperative. And you're going to find out as we go through this, as we speak about this, as Yana mentioned, we're talking about just a cold virus. We spoke about the other day the statistics of vaccines that have already been made for like measles and many other different diseases that we have out there, but yet the numbers of deaths annually far surpass the coronavirus. And you're also going to find out that the testing for the so-called COVID-19 pandemic, which is such a crock, you're going to find out that those tests are not accurate.
Right, but let's go back to this. City demands churches turn over names, addresses, phone numbers. Governors and mayors across the nation have claimed that their emergency powers allow them to ban large groups during the coronavirus pandemic. They don't want groups, gatherings in malls, movie theaters, or even churches, despite the constitutional protection of religious rights.
Now, one official is moving into extreme territory, demanding churches provide him with the names, addresses, and telephone numbers of anyone who shows up to worship. The move by Quentin Lucas, the mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, already is attracting the attention of Liberty Counsel, which has been defending churches amid the coronavirus lockdowns. Liberty Counsel founder Matt Staver noted Kansas City as requiring that churches submit lists of members and attendees along with their names, addresses, telephone numbers to the city officials for tracking and surveillance purposes.
Wow, so this is definitely a Nazi, communistic, tyrannical government on steroids. And why do I say on steroids? Because at the time of Hitler or any kind of dictator like Stalin, for example, these dictators did not have AI technology in their hands. Now they have these tyrants that sold out people of the United States, the government officials, governors, president, vice president, all the Democratic members, or a Republican. It doesn't matter, as you will see soon. They all sold out people of the United States.
Yes, they have.
Okay. So, yes, they have this AI technology tracking and surveilling. This is where 5G, 6G, and 7G, yes, 7G already is being talked about. That's the juice for the AI technology, for AI, artificial intelligence taking over. And I hope we can do more videos on that. But anyway, here we go, Steve. Keep reading.
I am running out of adjectives to describe how completely insane the tyrannical abuses launched by the state governors, and local officials against pastors and churches are becoming, he said in his newsletter. It is It is as if these leaders never bothered to so much as glance at the Constitution they swore to uphold and defend. They seem to be governing from some make-believe dystopian viewpoint. He said the order also applies to businesses, but that doesn't make it any more constitutional.
Well, I want you to notice this. The new order states that by recording names and contact information, the health department will be able to more quickly trace, test, and isolate individuals who may have been exposed to COVID-19. He explains. The Germans did this very thing to Jews, collecting the names and locations of all known synagogue attendees in the early days of Nazi regime, he points out. So I think this is what they're doing now. We are in it to get together. When they say that, we are in it to get her, just like Sister June Knight was saying. We are in this to get her. Okay, this is against the people, against Christians, against our religious rights. This is definitely a Nazi regime starting right now.
Yes, it
is. A WND message left with the office of the mayor didn't generate a response. Online, the city makes clear its 10-10-10 plan. Well, what does this mean? Look at this idiocy, Stephen.
Yes, businesses are allowed to reopen with 10% of their occupancy or a maximum of 10 people, and they must take down contact information for anyone in their building more than 10 minutes in order to conduct contact tracing if there were an outbreak.
So what it means, that let's say you're a business or a church, you can open to have 10% of occupancy.
Which what business could survive at 10% of occupancy in the first place?
So all of this reopening is nothing but lie. Okay, this is not really true reopening. And then they say that if you stay in that business or a church more than 10 minutes, they have to write down your phone number, your address, and give it to the authorities because they need to contact trace you just in case there was an outbreak. Now, this is tyrannical, beyond tyrannical. Religious gatherings are allowed under the same restrictions. The city specifically states it wants to quickly trace, test, and isolate individuals. Staver told WND the requirements will make people not want to go to church. Who would want to go to church for less than 10 minutes? For what?
Exactly.
You know, that's because 10 days later, they could get a phone call that someone in that vicinity may have COVID-19. Then they get summoned to quarantine, he said. The requirement chills constitutional rights to free speech, religion, and assembly. So as you see, our Constitution is gone. It's no more. It's dead.
And, you know, as it says here, the religion and assembly, this is what's so important right here. This was added to the Constitution mainly because the Scripture says that do not forsake the assembly as the manner of some are, especially as you see the day approaching. And if you go back and look at that Scripture, that is clearly identifying the day where judgment comes upon the earth for the evils that they had done. So the Bible was not talking about, something was happened 20, 30 years ago. And people say, you ought to be going to church. You ain't going to church. You should be going to church. The Bible said, forsake not the assembly. No, God knew the time would come when the people would be forced to forsake assembling themselves together. And then God said to the people, do it even more so when you see the day approaching.
Further, he warned it's just a low-tech version of what several states are trying to do. Some plan to utilize smartphone technology to monitor people who test positive. And we will soon talk about testing positive and what it means. But anyway, anyone who through Bluetooth is identified as having been in proximity to an infected person would be contacted by the government and could be ordered quarantined.
This should tell people to leave their smartphones at home and quit taking them with them.
I would completely get rid of them.
Exactly.
You know, have landlines put in and call your friends from there and absolutely do not use their smart technology. Staver has received complaints from several churches in Kansas City and is awaiting word on whether his organization should take action. Of course, you should take action. Never in our wildest dreams could we have imagined Nazi-like measures designed to surveil, track, and spy upon what was once a free American people. Yet that is exactly what Kansas City misguided government officials are now demanding, he said in his newsletter. Now, this is not just Kansas City. This is all of the government, be it Republican or Democrat. It does not matter. We do not have government.
No.
One of our sources, directly from the White House, reminded us that we, the people of the United States, are now marked as the enemy. All of us.
Yes.
Also, in federal documents, as Deborah Tavares showed us, and told us to read documents such as Silent Weapons for Silent Wars, or The Future is Now, NASA document. Humanity is marked as animals who needs to be processed and managed and cooled because it's too many people, according to the Kabbalists.
We were also told by our White House source, too, and this was even before the pandemic got going, that the time was coming in the not-so-distant future. That there were 16 different scenarios planned, but one of those that we would actually see is that we would begin to experience the sufferings of Job, and that there would be that separation of families. And of course, Job, not only did he lose all of his finances, but he also lost all of his children.
I hope this is where you draw a line, American people. Are you going to allow your children be taken away by the government because you are supposedly positive with COVID-19? Now, let me show you something. And you know what? Here.
Or because you refuse to take the vaccine.
Exactly. Now, this is, I was sent this document from a LabCorp employee. They have received these documents just recently. She insists of being anonymous because she's afraid to lose her job. But this is what they received in LabCorp, where they, test your blood. When you send your blood for testing, that's the company. This is a LabCorp serology testing for SARS-CoV-2. Now, SARS-CoV-2 is the same thing as COVID-19, so just So this is a LabCorp serology testing for SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 antibodies, IgG, IgA, IgM antibodies. Now, it says in here, beginning of Monday, April 27, 2020, physicians will be able to direct asymptomatic patients for IgG antibody specimen collection to LabCorp's network of patient service centers. Okay, so basically asymptomatic patients are patients who don't have any symptoms, and doctors just want to see if you are positive, negative, or if you developed any antibodies, if you had coronavirus. Remember, even according to Fauci's report, this is just a basic flu or a mild flu, okay? But 99.7% of humanity has only mild symptoms or no symptoms. So this supposed pandemic is not real. This is just an excuse so they can launch their New World Order. And it is the absence of knowledge on people's side. People do not understand how their bodies work, how their immune system works, and they have been misguided, okay? And this is why so many people fell for this, a lie, such as non-existent pandemic. There is no pandemic, people, okay? But anyway, look what it says in this paperwork. Positive results may be due to past or present infection with non-SARS-CoV-2, non-COVID-19 coronavirus strains, such as coronavirus HKU1, NL63, OC43, or 229E. When Dr. Sherry Tenpenny was interviewed about this virus, she said there is 36 coronaviruses. And 4 of them, these exactly ones, HKU1, NL63, OC43, and 229E, are the ones of the coronaviruses that can cause mild cold symptoms or flu symptoms. Each one of you had a cold or a flu in your life. So even in a LabCorp documents, if you test positive, they're telling doctors and they're telling these lab people that even positive results might be due to past infection with non-COVID-19, with the other coronavirus strains. Because if you had flu or cold before in your life, your body naturally created antibodies. Okay, so positive results will be kind of like false positive.
And as they also mentioned too, Yana, that past or present. In other words, you could just have the coronavirus HKU1, right, but nobody will tell you that that's what you have, HKU1.
No, and they're going to mark you positive.
Else. Yeah, they're going to mark you positive COVID-19. I mean, heck, we're finding out from the coroners that, they go out and the guy commits suicide for losing his business and everything. They mark him COVID-19 related death. How retarded. But what is it? Hospitals are being paid. It's almost like, I can remember, in the old days and stuff, agents that would get contracted jobs, hire for kill, right? They would get paid $5,000 to go take somebody out. Well, hospitals are getting paid $12,000 to make sure that you're marked as a COVID-19. And if they put you on the respirator, ventilator, they put you on a ventilator, $39,000. That's like getting paid to knock people off.
This is why they're putting people in New York on ventilators, Stephen, and they're killing them. But that's another subject for another time.
Yes.
Okay, because YouTubes are being taken down. David Icke YouTube and Facebook was just taken down because he spoke truth. And just a reminder,
we may have to start putting these things on Patreon. If this happens
to us, you know where to find us. We have a website, we have other channels, and we have an app. And this is where you would find us. So I recommend that you write it all down, because they are going to remove all of alternative media, and you're going to be left only with a basic brainwashing stations like CNN and Fox, so you can receive false information. Okay? They're doing this right now. But anyway, a lot of people thought Trump will save them. Trump will not save you. Trump is in this with the globalists. He's in it with the cabal. He has invested in it. And he's heading Operation Warp Speed, which is mandatory vaccination of every American. Okay?
He wants to deliver 300 doses of coronavirus vaccine, million doses of coronavirus vaccines by the end of the year, if that's even possible, as the article goes to claim there.
It says in here that President Trump has ordered Manhattan Project-style effort called Operation Warp Speed that aims to inoculate almost all Americans by year's end. Almost all Americans, unless you refuse the vaccine. But of course, they will make it mandatory, and they might mark you and ostracize you if you do refuse it. However, remember what is in this vaccine. I know that within the last decade, they're planning to inoculate people every year. They plan 48 compulsory vaccinations for every man, woman, and a child, with one of them being hydrogel by DARPA. Okay, and that one is supposed to grow within your body and grow within your organs and change your DNA into a cyborg. But anyway, for that, we had guests on that explained that in the past, and you need to also look into this yourself. But Mr. Trump is not on your side, and I don't know how many things he says that seems correct. As long as he signs executive orders that are against humanity, like he signed executive order for 5G and 6G to be deployed with enormous speed everywhere, even in rural areas.
And it takes to 5G.
And I hope you are aware of the fact that 5G is a juice for the AI technology, okay?
And they're going to put in you via vaccines.
Right. And then 5G is a bioweapon. And this is what's going to kill many people, which will resemble virus, and they will blame it on a virus. Okay, so no, Trump is definitely not for you, and this has been a great deception. If you've been a Trumpster, you need to completely and from all of your heart repent, because you should never put your trust in a man to whom no salvation belongs, and you know it.
Yeah, no Democrat's going to save you either. So let's just go ahead and make the record clear. It doesn't matter. Biden or Trump, neither one. They're both for the same cabal.
Exactly. Now, let's move on. Some protests happening in a country. This is by Fullerton informer Joe Imbriano. Sadly, Joe Imbriano has talked about Steve and me very negatively. He called us disinformation agents and CIA agents and I don't know what else. This was absolutely uncalled for, because you all know what we stand for, and we speak truth to you about this virus. And I have been speaking in conferences all over the country about 5G and warned you that this is a bioweapon. We have had guests on talking about 5G, but we also knew that this particular agenda is not just 5G, it's the entire New World Order. So 5G is a huge part of it, but that's not just what's happening, okay?
Yeah, but nonetheless, he does go out there, he gets in the face of the protests, he gets that information out to the people, and we appreciate his courage that he has to do that and to bring that information to his viewers.
So we are not going to, return bad for bad. We do recommend you watch him. He's a great activist, and he does speak truth on 5G. And he's seeing now that it wasn't just about 5G, but it's on trampling of constitutional rights of every kind you can imagine. But anyway, this is a very good video of the Huntington Beach protest that he covered.
South on Main Street here, as we approach the beach. There we go. Quite a crowd. Traffic's backed up. A lot of people on foot. We're approaching the ground zero of the protest right here, folks.
This is 1 hour, 12 minutes long. However, he does show the entire...
ID 2020. Coronavirus ID. COVID.
Certificate, vaccine certificate.
So here we are, folks, at the base of the pier. And let's have a look here, folks. That's right. All right, so we're at the base of the pier right now. It's actually closed off. A bunch of helicopters. Looks like ANI's up there, the Orange County Sheriff. Here's a view of the Huntington Beach Pier. It's actually closed down right now. You can see the beautiful surf rolling in.
We can actually just post it in the links for people to be able to see.
We'll give you links. He is trying to...
Yes, got about 1,200 people.
He's trying to talk to even police. They refuse to speak.
Watching you right now.
Way bigger than what you're being told. If you guys, no matter what you believe, where you're from, how old you are, your political party, your sexual orientation, watch Out of Shadows. Just start there, no matter who you are.
Is that the documentary about the pedophilia in Hollywood?
Yes, it eventually gets there, but I want you guys to understand, if you are taking in mainstream media, there is absolutely a narrative being built around the stories that you receive, and censorship is happening, it is real, and it's important. If we can't have access to all the facts, how can we make an educated decision? It's easy to call people idiots if you can't have access to what they're working with. So, outofshadows.org, no matter who you are, there's a reason why there's 11 million views, and YouTube is shadow banning it. Go to outofshadows.org, okay?
Thank you very much. Get the word out.
Let's move on over to Cody's,
there was another protest here.
Cordy, sorry, not
this
Cody.
This is a
Cordy
Dr. Cordy Lee Williams, okay? And on this particular protest, you're going to see full SWAT teams. They were pushing people back. and total trampling on constitutional rights.
They even in the course of this video here, which we'll just play about a minute or so, of Cordy Lee Williams and what he says to the police. He's actually addressing the police that are there in riot gear. And but there had already been one pastor that had been arrested. Of course, they're saying he was detained, not arrested. There's no difference. Detainment is arrest, regardless. If you're being held against your will, you're being arrested. But also, there was a child knocked down by police using a baton. A lot of different things were happening, but he addresses them in a very peaceful way, trying to get them to think about what they are doing, that they're standing up for a tyrannical system. So let's play about a minute of this, John. And then
I'd rather lose my job than lose my soul.
Amen.
I'd rather lose my job than lose my soul. Yes. Because what are you going to go tell your little boy or your little girl tonight? That you took a baton and you crushed somebody's skull? That was a mom? Is that what a tough guy does? That's not what honor, courage, and commitment means in the Marine Corps. So the question is, do you say, you know, we always have in the military, we have what's a lawful order? And you got to check your nutsack when you're given an order, and you got to say, is this a lawful order or is this a bullshit order? And when something's a bullshit order and it doesn't pass the sniff test, that's when you say sergeant, that's when you say colonel, that's when you say general, that's when you say governor. I'm not doing that. I didn't sign up for that. That's what it takes. So the question, I want each and every one of you to do a gut check right now. And there's guys over there that are lieutenants, and there's political games happening right now. People are talking about people, and somebody's looking at me with binoculars right now. Right? God bless them. Right?
Shit, there's a sniper.
Well, what I want you to get is now is the time for you to decide. What side of history do you want to be on? I'm serious.
Amen.
Somebody's going to ask you that question. A bunch of people have video of everybody out here. It's going to be out in the media. And there will be some fake news. But there's going to be some of you that hit somebody, that took Pastor Tim over there and you threw him to the ground like a piece of trash, and he was just standing there, and that's going to be on your conscience. And so, this isn't a Republican thing, it's not a Democratic thing, even though Governor Newsom's making it that, so President Trump doesn't get back in the White House in 2020, and we get sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe in there, right?
So the thing is Cordy actually does a really good job. You can see he's for Trump as well. A lot of people are still disillusioned by that. They're not seeing what we brought up earlier. But hats off to this man, really making a stand. And, like so many others, Michigan people also making a stand for their freedoms and not having them trampled over by something that is just totally fake.
Yes, it was very sad to see SWAT teams that he actually had to do this, which proves that we don't have constitution. The New World Order have started. We are in a full gear now. They are rolling in. They are taking all of the facets of our life, preparing completely different curriculum for schools. They're taking over our food industry, creating artificially hunger. It's all artificially created. It's not that Earth would not give produce. It's that they are taking over our food, agriculture, and produce. And they are replacing, for those who do eat meat, okay, they are replacing your meat with a lab-made Gates version GMO meat that you'll be forced to eat, because what's happening to our food processing plants is absolutely horrific, and we do need to have a separate section of our video, separate
we are
section
going
just
to
on
be right.
that.
We're going to be doing that because we have discovered it is New Testament prophecy, Yana, about this very events that are happening now. I had no idea.
Why don't we do a part 2 on that, Steve?
Let's do that.
So for now, we're going to post you links that we have covered, and we love you. Remember to draw your strength from Jesus Christ, and He is with us till the end. He has never forsaken us. He never left us, and we cannot fight this with our flesh. We cannot fight this New World Order power with just flesh. Okay, this is a war, and we are warring against principalities and powers in dark places.
Yes, exactly. Amazing. Thank you for watching. I'm Stephen with my wife, Yana Benoon, here on Israeli News Live.